Well, hey, I wanted to try and record some things that I've been thinking about and just conceptual things. We forget that we come into the world and what rules us from the minute we're born, we're dependent, and hopefully we become independent of our parents, and then interdependent, meaning we work in unison with the universe. And those are steps of graduation, steps of maturity, really. And Stephen Covey calls those the 7 habits of highly effective people. That first, we are dependent for food, shelter, information. That's a key. What food we put in our body determines how strong and healthy we'll be. Same with water. Same with environment. And then the knowledge, the education that we get. Where does that come from? Well, we can believe our parents to begin with, if you have parents, or whoever is responsible for you at a young age. What if your parents are incorrect? What if they sow the wrong story in your life? What if you're raised as a Christian and then you find out that it's bunk, or a socialist and find out that, or a Nazi, or a Jew? And in fact, the Jewish people really hijacked our history with great intention and a big plan. And if you're smart enough to look at the world holistically and not from a particular little corner or book, then it absolutely makes sense that why in the world would one book ever deliver any amount of information required to understand the universe. It's ridiculous. So what happens is we come into the world and we're programmed by our environment, our food, our water, our parents, our education systems. And what if they're wrong? Or what if the people in charge have a plan to use our energy? And if they do, then what kind of narrative are they going to provide to us, right? So if you're the first guy here, or you're the one in charge, let's say you have the most money and the most power and the most education, obviously, then you're in control. And what do you do with the dum-dums that you need to make work and produce, but you don't want to tell them what you know? That would be stupid. So you create a program for them that will get them going in the direction that will most supply what you need from these dependents. What we don't realize is that the people at the top don't at all see you and me as vital or important or necessary. At one time we were, when the Vietnam War had to be fought, or any other war, or when the world needed colonizing and raping, then we were important. But you've got to look at who they are as opposed to who we are. Originally, I didn't want to go to college. I never thought I could, but later, when I had the opportunity to provide it for myself, I didn't want it because I saw other people with academic degrees and they weren't smarter than me. Sorry. I understood stuff and I knew it because I could problem solve. And people I saw that went into school were taught a program, and they weren't that smart. They just had knowledge, but the knowledge was programmed. And I never wanted that, and I'm so very thankful. Actually, when we talk about forgiving the school debt, yeah, there's a character issue there because you gave your word to pay for something, but there's a bigger character issue. You gave your word to pay your money for something that you thought would provide you with truth and excellence and knowledge, but it didn't because it was bullshit. And I can say without a shadow of a doubt, what's wrong with the world? I know. It's simple. We didn't ever know who we were. We were fed a line of bullshit. Now, how in the world do you expect people to govern themselves without the truth? We have never had the truth. So no wonder we're screwed up. They created everything we know, unless you get outside their square. And that, my friends, is a hard damn thing to do. I'm finally outside it, but I don't know many people. And the religious bullshit and the political bullshit is so damn deep. Until people start asking questions and going back to the beginning and saying, why am I here? Who is in charge of me? Who fed me information and where did they get it? And why did they feed me that information? And does that information make sense? In light of what we're seeing, the evidence, it's all bullshit. You know it, I know it. And to think that I think I'm a smart person today. I didn't know that years ago, but I know it today, that I'm exceptionally smart. I'm a problem solver. I don't have a ton of knowledge, but I know where to get it and how to ask questions. And that's all you need is a curiosity, because that will take you where you want to go. And that's what they forgot to tell us. Don't ask questions. Here's the information. Read what I've given you. Orchestrate your world around this bullshit Bible that the Jews hijacked that tells you you're an unworthy sheep. Now, look around. And you wonder why we've got problems. We bought the bullshit. And I knew it was bullshit. But you know what? I didn't have the balls to honor my own questions. And that's our problem. We don't know who we are. When we start to realize the power we have, that we are the very highest life form on this damn earth, in the universe, and we've got more power than anybody else. We've got as much as anybody. Even those at the top, they might have the money, they might have the education, but only because they know who they are. Why do you think there's such a separation between the top and the bottom? They have a different damn narrative, for God's sake. They have the truth. That helps. If you want to be free, you got to have the truth. And I'm here to tell you that we have been scammed with religion, with politics, with who we are. And until we stop and say, I have had enough. Yesterday I put on David and I watched a movie about Bob Dylan. And I put on my post, I ain't gonna work on Maggie's farm no more. I would advise you to do the same thing. Quit the farm.